for that. Art Laffer, reading all of this, a former Reagan economic advisor. You know, Art, I was reading that under Ronald Reagan, 18 times that they had to deal with increases in the debt ceiling without a fraction of the craziness we see these days. What was different back then?
Well, first, it was all bipartisan. Our tax cuts in '81 were bipartisan. Our tax cuts in '86 were bipartisan. All that Reagan did was always bipartisan, working with both sides of the aisle, which is not being done now by Biden. It's just not. And the second thing is really important, Neil, is Reagan was using the funds to build economic strength through tax cuts, through pro-growth agenda policies, not by borrowing to pay people not to work. You know, when you look at the debt, there's nothing wrong with debt per se. If you can borrow all you want at 2% and lend all you want risk-free at 10%, how much should you borrow? As much as you can. If you can borrow all you want at 10% and lend as much as you want at 2%, you shouldn't borrow anything. These people are using the debt incorrectly. They should use it to borrow cheap and then use it to grow the economy with tax cuts, with pro-growth agendas, with infrastructure, all of that. But they're not. They're using it to pay people not to work. So you're going to find this leading to a lot higher inflation, a lot more, and the debt is being misused, in this case, 100% by the Democrats.
If we keep raising the debt ceiling, why don't we dispense with the theater of it all and find an alternative where you don't have to keep revisiting this? Or is it meant to be some, you know, halfway attempt at looking like you're watching how much money you're spending, which they're not?
You know, they're not, but it is. There is theatrics with this, but the theatrics are important. I mean, you listen to Janet Yellen saying how horrible it would be. I would hope that people would take into consideration when they're going to spend $5 trillion extra, that they might find some pushback on the debt ceiling. I think it does put a little bit more restraint on their spending, but maybe not, Neil. If it doesn't, of course, you shouldn't have any debt ceiling whatsoever. Just go for the gold. But in all honesty, the debt ceiling, if you go too far, will have hugely negative consequences on the economy. Already it has. I mean, it already has, and it will continue to have more and more. So the theatrics, I thought Mitch McConnell did a great job with the theatrics, to be very serious. I thought he did a great job, but I thought Schumer exposed himself badly on that. I mean, just bashing the Republicans. But the debt ceiling is primarily theatrics. You're right.
If Democrats could somehow cobble together an agreement that would include Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, the more moderate senators, and they get it through, let's say it's closer to $2.25 trillion, not $3.5. Play that out. What do you think the impact will be?
Well, I think the impact will be very negative, especially on inflation, because what they're doing is they're transferring all these resources to people who aren't working or who are paid for not working, and they're taking it from people who do work through taxes and through debt ceiling. So by taking it from people who are through taxes, you're reducing their proclivity to work, so they'll produce less. By giving to people who don't work, they also will produce less, but they'll buy more. So you'll have less goods and services available, and you'll have more money being spent by proof of the spending, and that will lead to prices. When you spend more and you produce less, the price level goes up, and that is exactly what has been happening so far. And if they do this, and if it goes through, I think it'll be very tough on inflation and on output and employment. Already, Neil, the participation rate from, let's say, the end of Clinton, my hero, as a president, the end of Clinton was about 66. It's now down to about 61.5%, almost 62 at the latest. People are just leaving by droves out of the labor force and not producing. That is an inflationary environment, and it really isn't good for the country. Long run, there are less goods, and there are more people demanding them, and the prices will rise.
That's for Jerome Powell to address, and there's back and forth on whether he should be reappointed. I'd like to ask your thoughts if he's not reappointed.
Well, there are lots of very, very good people to fill the chairmanship of the Fed. I'm not one to give suggestions. I mean, you know, I don't know. I thought Jerome Powell, when he was appointed, was a good choice. I'm much less enthusiastic about Jerome Powell than I was originally. But frankly, I think they should. I mean, I think there are a lot of people who are really good out there, and I think they probably should change Powell out.
Wow. All right. Art Laffer, thank you.
I mean, we shouldn't be doing these loans like this. They shouldn't
Yeah.
be holding interest rates at these low levels. They should have tapered long ago and let markets handle interest rates, let markets handle this. The interest rate today should be under a stable, let's say a 2% inflation, should be something like 4.5%, 5% on the 10-year bond.
Yeah.
And it's not. And every time you start getting closer and closer, you cause all these machinations and people shouting and screaming and all of that. You should just be done with it and let markets handle the situation the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, but markets,
that's not what the Fed's doing.
markets have gotten used to this, right? But you're right. Historical norms, we should be
sure
more than
have.
double where we are now. Art, always learn something from you. Thank you very, very much.